Chapter 13. After a great beach day yesterday, today is foggy and miserable. Perfect weather to help Cecilia. I think I got everything on the list, I say as I walk into the kitchen and set the grocery bags on the island. Cecilia is sitting at the table, staring into space, her face a mask of worry. What's up? I ask, digging into one of the bags. Nothing, she says, glancing away from me. It's not nothing, I insist, a tiny ball of dread forming inside me. I put the bag down. I can tell. What happened? She takes a deep breath, and her eyes flick up to mine for just a second before looking away again. The police. They were here a little while ago, at the front door. I feel my heart surge. They must have figured out the fake ID. Did you answer it? She looks at me like I'm stupid. Of course I did. I have nothing to hide. They were looking for Alicia. Crap. What did you say? What do you think I said? That there's no Alicia here. My face must have been giving something away. Do you know anything about this? Not really. I sit down beside her, sorry that she got involved in this at all. Sort of. It's just a misunderstanding. A mistake. Did they leave a card? Yes. Cecilia reaches into the pocket of her apron and pulls out a card identical to the one I already have. One of them gave me this. She studies my face. What have you two done? Is Ava in trouble? Is there something you need to be telling me? When your father isn't here, you and your sister are my responsibility. No, I say it politely as possible. It's really no big deal. Ava's fine. I'll take care of it. I tuck the card into my pocket and give Cecilia a kiss on the cheek. I can see that she's not totally satisfied. Really, it's okay. I'll talk to Dad when he gets home. You promise? She looks skeptical. Yes, I swear. I jump up and start going through the bags again, even though my brain is focused on the cops. The cilantro looked terrible at the store, so I went to the produce place by the freeway. Someone calls to her from the backyard, so she gives me one last piercing glance and walks outside. I hear Cecilia's raised voice and a male voice speaking Spanish. The gardener is standing outside with the leaf blower on his back, pointing to something on the side of the house. He looks agitated, but he's speaking so fast I can't understand a word as they walk off towards the side of the house. My Spanish was so much better when I was a kid. I'm putting the milk in the fridge when I hear a buzzing sound and see Cecilia's phone jiggling across the counter. Cecilia! I shout, but she must be too far in the back to hear me. The buzzing stops, but then starts up again a few seconds later. I pick it up to put it on a safer spot and see that she's gotten a text. Cecilia never gets text. She hates the phone and only has it because Dad passed it down to her years ago, when he finally got a new one. I glance at the patio door, even as I can't believe I'm thinking about it. Something's going on with Cecilia, and she's not going to tell me what it is. Looking back again, I slide the ancient phone open to unlock it and click on the message. It's Ruby. She's gone again. I've never heard her mention anyone named Ruby before. I hear Cecilia's voice outside, so I mark the text as unread and close it before putting the phone right back where it was. Everything okay? I ask as she comes back into the kitchen. Fine, she says, but she seems distracted. Her phone buzzes again and she glances at me before picking it up. After reading the text, she puts the phone into her pocket, muttering something to herself. Anything wrong? She looks at me like she's forgotten I'm here, and her cheeks instantly go red. No. She gives me an insincere smile. My sister's having some trouble with her husband, is all. I've known Cecilia my whole life, and for the first time, it feels like she's hiding something from me. I want to ask her who Ruby is, but I can't think of any way to bring it up without telling her that I read the text. The gardener appears again in the doorway and says something to her that I can't catch. What's going on? I walk over to him. It's nothing, Cecilia says, turning away from Julio. Don't worry about it. Julio looks worriedly at me. It's definitely something. What's going on? I repeat. Someone looked outside of La Casa, he says in halting English. I feel a shiver run down my spine. Something about the tone of his voice makes me nervous. Looks? Adonde? Julio points to the side of the house near the fence. I I'm sure he's overreacting, Cecilia says, but I'm already heading across the deck. She follows me as Julio leads us around the back of the house. A key, he says, stepping outside Ava's bedroom window. He points to a pile of sunflower seed shells on the ground about 3 feet away from the window. At first, I don't think much about it, but then I look at them more closely. These aren't random seeds that have been eaten by someone and tossed away. This is a pile of open seeds that have been chewed and discarded in a single pile over a longer period of time. I look through the window and see Ava's entire room through the parted curtains. At night, when the lights are on and Ava's using the window as a mirror from the inside, you wouldn't be able to see anything out here, or anyone. I put on a fake smile and bend down to pick up a handful of the seeds. All 3 of us are standing near the pile, and our shoes have messed up whatever footprints might have been made in the soft dirt. I'm sure Cecilia's right, and it's no big deal. Someone just left these here. Julio looks worried. Pero debemos de seguir eso padre. Don't worry, I'll tell my dad, I say. I look more closely at the window, but don't see any handprints on the glass. The seeds rattle in my pocket, and I glance over my shoulder as we walk back towards the patio, half expecting someone to be watching us. Ava comes into my bathroom as I lean close to the mirror. It feels like I'm about to poke my eye out with a pencil. What are you doing? She flicks the pendant that's already around my neck. I thought Alicia was dead. Hey! I yell as she jiggles my arm and totally blows the line I was working on. She leans over and hands me a wad of toilet paper to rub it off and start it again. She is, but I have to do it one more time. I don't have any choice. Sounds serious. She grabs the pencil out of my hand. You're useless at this. Let me do it. I kick the door shut behind her in case Cecilia is lurking anywhere nearby. I'm going down to the police station. She pulls back so she can see my face. What? Why? I thought we agreed to let it go. I can see anger flashing in her eyes. I'd love to, but the cops aren't. They came back again. I say, annoyed that once again I have to clean up another one of Ava's messes. Scared Cecilia half to death. I need to find out what's going on, because your whole blow-over theory is obviously flawed. Shit, really? What did she tell them? She told them that there wasn't an Alicia here, but they already know better, thanks to you. I grab some dark gray eyeshadow from the drawer. If you hadn't pulled the Alicia crap on the cops, this would all be over by now. Ava slams the eyeliner pencil down onto the counter. Well, I'm not going to help you do something so completely stupid. Whatever, I say. My hand is shaking as I wipe the shadow across my lid, and I put both hands down on the counter to steady them. I can't let Ava see how nervous I am. But you better plan what you're going to say when they knock on the door next time, and I guarantee that there will be a next time. Dad's going to be home in 5 hours, and I need to have this all behind us by then. I can't let Dad know about Alicia, not on top of the whole Stanford mess. I can almost see the look in his eyes if he opens the door and sees the cop standing there. If he discovers that I'm not the person he thought I was. You don't think the cops suspect Alicia? Ava asks. I'm worried that's exactly what they think. This way I can be only offensive. I say quickly, convincing myself as I'm explaining it to her. I'll go down there as Alicia and innocently find out what's going on. It'll look like we're cooperating. Alicia didn't do anything wrong, and I'm going to tell him that. We'll straighten this whole thing out. Dad will come home and nobody will ever know. Ava picks the pencil back up and scrapes the ends with her fingernail. Thought you were big on telling the cops the truth. That would make the whole thing up. She leans in towards me again. Close your eyes. I stand as still as I can while she puts on the eyeliner, glad that she's back on my side. It's too late for that. They already saw her ID, and you gave them all that crap at the door. They said that they'll only talk to Alicia, so I'm going to let them. She hasn't done anything wrong, so I'm not worried. I wish I was as confident as I sound. Open. Open, Ava commands and stands back to take a look. Are you sure you know what you're doing? I notice she doesn't volunteer to go with me, not like I expected her to. No, I admit, but I don't have another choice right now, and the last thing we need is to have the cops coming around here when Dad gets home. No shit, Ava agrees, rubbing something out of the corner of my eye. She pauses. Do you think he'd take our phones away? The phone, the car, and the credit cards. I glanced back at the mirror. He'd never trust me again. Ava stands next to me as I look at our reflections. Call me if something happens, she says. Nothing's going to happen. I hope I sound more sure than I feel. What are you going to do with your hair? I look in the mirror at the messy bun. Nothing. It's the cops, not a club. Ava reaches up to undo the elastic. Yeah, but now that the rest of you looks good, we have to fix this too. Alicia doesn't do things half-assed. An hour later, I'm sitting in the car in front of the brick police station. I must have passed this place a million times, but I never thought I'd actually need to go into it. I reach into my bag, take my real license out of my wallet, and stick it into the glove compartment, making sure that my Alicia license is the only one left in the plastic window. My palms are sweating, so I wipe them on my leggings and repeat to myself that Alicia didn't do anything wrong. I'm just here to find out what the cops want so that they'll stop coming to the house. I'm sure they'll ask a couple of questions about how I knew Casey, and I'll be sitting right back here in half an hour, laughing that I was so worried about something so small. Although I suppose that's pretty much what the people in the movies think right before the train comes crashing through the intersection and obliterates their disabled car on the tracks. Taking a deep breath, I get out and then walk into the station, blinking a little in the fluorescent lights. On CSI, the station is always dark and foggy, but this place is lit up like Christmas, making the guy behind the front desk look like a little washed out and a tiny bit green. Can I help you? His tone makes it sound like he'd rather do anything else. Yes, I say, taking out the card like I need to double check, even though it's soft in use, and I've already memorized the name on it. I'm here to see Detective Nato. The guy types something in the computer on the desk and looks up at me. Can I tell him who's here? I take a deep breath and think about Dad sitting on a plane and drinking his complimentary first-class champagne, completely oblivious to all this. I have to keep it that way. There's no going back now. Alicia Rios. He's expecting me, sort of. Okay, go ahead and have a seat over there. The guy points to a row of hard orange plastic chairs. I perch on the edge of one of the chairs, feeling like I'm going to jump up and run out at any second. It takes everything I have to stay in one place until the detective rounds the corner with a faintly surprised look on his face. Alicia? I stand up and put my hand out and then take it back quickly, not knowing whether you're supposed to shake hands with the cops or not. I look down and see he's got a big brown accordion folder in his hand anyways. Yes, I say, remembering quickly that Alicia has never met him before. I look down at the worn business card in my hand for effect. Detective Nato? That's right. He nods. Thanks for coming down. Would you come this way? He holds out the folder to indicate the hallway towards the back of the building. I take a deep breath and walk towards him, reminding myself that I'm just here to satisfy our curiosity and find out what they want. Alicia's not in trouble. I see his name on an office door to the left and start to turn that direction, but he corrects me. Let's go in here, he says, reaching around me and opening the door to a room with a plaque that reads Room 1. Okay, I say, starting to feel a little more uneasy. Talking to him in his office is one thing. Talking to him in a generically named Room 1 is another. Just have a seat, he says. He pushes a small formica-top table out of the way and gestures to another hard orange plastic chair in the middle of the room. I glance behind him and see a mirror that takes up most of one wall. I watched enough cop shows to wonder who's standing behind that mirror and watching us. I jump a little when he closes the door solidly behind us. Everything okay? He asks, settling into the chair next to mine. We're sitting so close, our knees are practically touching, and I wish the table was between us like it is on TV. Yes, fine. Have you never been to a police station before? Nothing to worry about, he says absently, looking through the file folder on his lap. We just have some questions about the death of Casey Stewart. It's awful what happened to him, I say, hoping I sound sincere. But I'm not sure there's anything I can tell you. We just need to get a few things straight with our investigation. A couple of questions and you'll be out of here. Okay, I say, trying to sit back in the chair, but it's so uncomfortable that I sit up straight again. Can I get you anything? A soda? Some water? No, thanks. I'm fine. I just want to answer his questions and leave. The detective points to a tiny box on the ceiling. You don't mind if we record this, do you? He grins. My handwriting's terrible. Nobody can read it, so this just saves time. I look at the box with a little red button on top and try to smile. That's what someone with nothing to hide would do. No, that's fine. Do you mind stating your name for the record? It's the for the record part that makes me hesitate. I take a deep breath, knowing the next thing I say is probably illegal. I'm a terrible liar, but I have no choice. I can practically feel Dad getting closer as the minutes tick by. Alicia Rios. Thank you, Alicia, he says as if he's speaking to an audience. I glance at the two-way mirror and wonder if he is. He flips through some papers in the folder. And how did you know Casey Stewart? I shrug, trying to look casual. We went out a couple of times. I see, he says, nodding. And when was the last time you saw him? March 28th, I answer, glad that I rehearsed this part with Ava. Friday, the night before he died, we hung out and then talked in his car. In the Cheesecake Factory parking lot. He looks like he's expecting a certain answer, only I have no idea what it is. Yes, I got into my car about 11. About 11? Are you sure of the time? My palms start sweating, and I wipe them on my pants, even though everything I'm telling him is true. Yes, it had to be around 11, because I remember specifically that I got home at 11:30. It only takes half an hour to drive from the Cheesecake Factory to my house. And you didn't see him after that? Did you have another date with him that maybe you forgot about? I shake my head. Where is he going with this? No, I saw him the night before he died, and that was the last time. Well, if it's true, he says, reaching into the folder, I'd love it if you could explain the surveillance photo taken the night Mr. Stewart died. He turns a piece of paper so I can see it. I can almost feel my heart stop as I focus on the image. I should have known that there would be surveillance cameras. They're everywhere these days. I wonder if it shows his killer, if they got the whole thing on tape. I lean over the photo, afraid to touch the grainy picture, but it's not what I'm expecting. I swallow hard, hoping my voice won't crack. Where did you get this? I hope I'm overthinking it, but the detective's expression looks much less friendly than it did just a few seconds ago. It was taken from a surveillance camera in the front of the restaurant. He points to a blurry time code at the bottom of the photo. Taken at 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, March 30th, right around the time of Casey's death. I look back at the photo. The focus isn't that great, but even I can see it's a girl who looks a lot like me walking down the street. She seems like she's in a hurry, looking over her shoulder as if she's expecting someone to follow. But it's not me. That's the only thing I know for sure, which can mean only one thing. I suddenly notice how cold my hands are and shove them under my legs. Why wouldn't Ava tell me that she was near the restaurant that night? I look up at the detective and tell him the only part of the truth that matters now. That isn't me. Detective Nato spins the photo around, then holds it up to my face. That's funny, he says slowly. It sure looks an awful lot like you. Could you perhaps have gotten your dates mixed up? I feel panic creeping in as the realities start to build on one another. It was the day I met Eli at Roma. I was home that night. I'm sure of it. My mind races as I try to remember where Ava was that night. I'm not mixed up, I say firmly. By 11:30 on Friday night, I was at my house, and that's the last time I saw Casey. I can't believe he doesn't believe me. Can I see it again? He hands it back to me, and I scan it desperately, looking for some clue that will explain this away. I can't see her face clearly, but I have a good view of a small silver sequined purse hanging from the shoulder of her red jacket. I point to the photo, relief flooding through my body. The jacket. I don't have a red leather jacket like that. It must be someone else. He says, reaching into the folder again, and takes out a small plastic bag. Do you have an earring like this one? We found it in Casey's car. I look at the big gold hoop. It looks like any one of those dozens of pairs that Ava has, that Alicia wears when she goes out. I think as hard as I can, but I have no idea which pair I'm wearing right now, and my hand is halfway to my ear before I can stop it. I'm not sure, I say. I look from the earring to the picture. But I already told you that I was in his car the night before. We sat and talked in his car for a long time. It could have fallen off before I gotten out. I sit forward, trying to convince him that I have nothing to do with this. Look, I hate the sight of blood. It makes me sick. I wouldn't even know how to cut someone's spine, much less be able to do it. He glances at the video camera on the wall. Why did you say it that way? His tone is concerned, cautious. I suck in my breath, feeling like I made a mistake. What way? That you wouldn't know how to cut someone's spine. He watches me, waiting patiently for my answer. I try to remember where I heard about it, but my mind's blank. I don't know, the news? Or someone at school, maybe? Everyone was talking about it on Monday. He puts his hands on the folder, palms together. It's just an interesting way to put it, that someone cuts Casey's spine. He pauses. Because we never put that out to the media. Most people assumed his throat was slit. I sit back in my chair and try to stay as calm as possible. I just heard it somewhere. These things get leaked all the time. It's an unusual method of killing someone, he continues, but fairly efficient. Most often used to kill animals in slaughterhouses or for dissection. It's called pithing, where the spine is severed from the base of the skull. I lean away from him. Well, I wouldn't know anything about that. What's interesting, he says, pulling another bag out of the folder, is that we found this in the front seat of the car, covered in blood. He turns the bag and I see Ava's blue sweater covered with big spots of dried purplish blood. Do you recognize this? He says quietly. I nod slowly. It's mine, I admit. I left it in his car. The detective looks interested. You did? It was awfully cold that night, yet you got out of his car and crossed the parking lot without remembering your sweater. I was in a hurry. The minute the words are out of my mouth, I regret it. His eyebrows raise. You were? Why? I don't want to tell him the real reason. That will just fire up another set of questions I don't need. Curfew, I say quickly. I was late and I was going to miss curfew. An 11 o'clock curfew. He doesn't say it as a question. Your parents must be awfully strict. I definitely don't want to talk about my dad. Am I in some kind of trouble? I hand the photo back to him. This is all starting to sound crazy. All I know is that this isn't me and I didn't have anything to do with Casey's death. Do I need a lawyer? Detective Nato spreads his hands out on the folder. Only if you feel like you need one. Which immediately makes me feel like I might need one, and that asking for one will make me look guiltier. He pulls the photo out of the folder again, like he's examining it for the first time. Look, we're just having a little friendly conversation here, and I really appreciate you coming down to straighten all this out. The detective smiles, but it doesn't make his face look any kinder. Well, we do know of 2 other people who might look like this in a photo. Are you saying it might be one of your sisters? No, none of us had anything to do with what happened to Casey. He glances down in his notes. What were you doing at the funeral? He asked, and I know the subject change is supposed to throw me off. I shrug. I was ready for this question. I needed closure. Closure? Yeah, like I said, we went out right before he died, so I thought I'd go and pay my respects. Nothing wrong with that, is there? Nope, he says. Nothing wrong with that. I remember the joints in Casey's ashtray and what Ava said. I need to know if we really should be worried, if someone thinks I might know too much. Do you think that it might be drug-related? He tilts his head towards me. I can't comment on motive right now. Why do you ask? I didn't want to bring this up, but now I realize I have no choice. If someone thinks I saw Casey's killer, I might be the one who needs help. Because I think someone's been stalking me. Us. He looks interested. What do you mean, stalking you? There have been a few things. I tell him about the speeding ticket and the strange car at Water Ridge. He frowns at the story but doesn't say anything. I'm guessing murder is a little more serious than trespassing at an office park after hours. And then our gardener found these just outside my sister's window. I reach into my bag and hand him the baggie full of sunflower seeds. I'm afraid I don't follow, he says, examining them. Someone has been sitting outside the window, I say. I picture a figure crouched in the shadows, silently cracking seeds as Ava gets dressed just on the other side of the glass, watching us. We'll take a look at these and see what we find, the detective says, pushing them to one side. He leans towards me. Do you feel like you're in danger? I suddenly feel very exposed. I'm not sure. I haven't exactly seen anyone. It's just that there are so many weird coincidences lately. Make sure you call me, or 911, if you think you're in any immediate danger. He shuts the folder with an air of finality. I'll tell you what. You give us a quick DNA sample and you can be on your way. I hesitate. DNA sample? For what? To eliminate your profile. He claps his hands on top of the folder. We found some trace evidence under Casey's fingernails. We're thinking maybe he scratched someone during an altercation that night. If you didn't struggle with him, then your DNA won't be there, right? Right, I say. I realize this interview is being watched because a technician comes into the room as soon as I answer. But my DNA is probably all over that car. Well, then the profile will just eliminate your DNA from the scene, Detective Nato says. A lab tech puts on a pair of latex gloves as I watch, my mind racing. We have nothing to hide, but I'm not sure that handing over something so personal is such a good idea. Maybe I should wait and ask my dad about this. The lab tech looks at Detective Nato. You can legally consent to a DNA test, he says, but we can put you in holding until we get in touch with your parents if you like. It's just my dad, and he's out of town, in South Africa, and he's hard to reach right now. The last thing I want is for the cops to bring Dad into this. He shrugs. Then it might take a while, but you've got nowhere to go, right? Everything feels like it's spiraling out of control. I don't know. Look, the detective says, leaning forward on his chair. We're going to get a sample one way or another. You can either hang out here for the next several hours while we get in touch with your father, or we can do this in the next 30 seconds and you can walk out of here. What do you say? A quick cheese swab and it's done, the tech says. Not even painful. She flicks the cap off the Q-tip and leans in towards me. Open up. I can't think of any more excuses, so I open my mouth and she rubs the swab quickly along the inside of my cheek. See? She says as she caps the swab and then strips her gloves off. Couldn't be easier. I watch her walk out of the room and I feel strangely violated. Can I go now? I ask Detective Nato. Sure, he says, standing up and pushing his chair back. But don't go far. We might have some more questions for you. Ava's car isn't in the driveway when I get home, and I can feel my agitation starting up again. I must have gone through the conversation 20 times in my head, but I can't figure it out. Yes, the person in the photo looked like Ava, but the quality of the picture wasn't that good. I even thought I saw Ava at the food trucks that night, but there must be thousands of girls who look like us in the dark and from far away. To think anything else is just crazy. I sit in the car and dial Ava's number, but it goes straight to voicemail, so I hang up without leaving a message. I text her to call me and then climb out of the car and go into the house. I can hear Cecilia's TV on in the kitchen, so I'll quietly walk down the long hallway towards our bedrooms. I open Ava's door, not even sure what I'm looking for in the messy room until I spot the speeding ticket on top of a pile of papers on her desk. I fold it up, put it in my pocket, and pick my way through the mounds of discarded clothes to the closet. She has no organizational system at all, so I flip casually through the rack. My fingers touch the soft leather before it even registers, and I pull the jacket slowly out of the closet, glancing towards the open door to make sure nobody's watching me. I pull it towards me and get a faint whiff of Ava's perfume over the smell of new leather. Just holding it freaks me out, so I shove it back into the closet and smooth the clothes around it until I'm satisfied that it looks like it hasn't been disturbed. I try to calm down. Ava buys new stuff all the time. It's no big deal. It's just a coincidence that she has a new red leather jacket and that it looks just like the one that Mystery Girl was wearing in the photo right after Casey was killed. "What are you looking for?" Ava asked from the doorway. I jump back like I've been shocked. "Geez, you scared me." I was going to tell her everything about what the cops know in the photo, but now I'm not so sure. "I was looking for those jeans I borrowed last week. I think I might have left $5 in the pocket." I casually reach in and pull the jacket out like it's no big deal. "This is nice. Where did you get it?" "I don't know. A couple of weeks ago, I guess. There was an end of season sale at the mall." She looks up at me, but I don't see anything in her eyes that's giving her away. "You want to borrow it? Haven't even worn it yet." I look down and see that the tags are still hanging from the sleeve. Has she really not worn it? If she did wear it that night, why would she lie about it? "Maybe," I say, putting it back in the closet. "So, what happened?" she asks, flopping down onto her bed. "Well, they didn't arrest me yet, and it has nothing to do with the fake ID." I watch her face closely, the face I've trusted as much as my own all my life, until now. "They wanted to ask me some questions about Casey." Ava picks some of the polish off her fingernails, putting the scraps of color in a little pile on her bed. She doesn't meet my eyes. Is that a sign of guilt? "Yeah." I'm searching her face for clues, but she looks totally unconcerned. "Good thing you have nothing to hide, right?" "That's what they're trying to find out. I even gave them a DNA sample to eliminate us." Her eyes go wide, but now I can't tell if it's all just an act. "So what do we do now?" I'm about to answer when we hear the front door open and a booming voice calling out our names. "Daddy's home!" Ava shouts, scrambling off her bed to greet him. I glance at her open closet and catch a glimpse of the red jacket pushed way to the back, which gives me an ache in the pit of my stomach. Dad's home, but I'm not sure I've done enough. We're keeping secrets from each other, and I've never felt so alone. Chapter 14. "I'm sorry," the woman on the phone says, her voice wary and a little suspicious. "We don't give out that kind of information. License plate lookups are done only for law enforcement or licensed private investigators." She pauses. "What did you say you need it for?" I can feel my heart pounding, even though it's what I expected her to say. The speeding ticket was sent to us, which means the driver must have a copy of the fake ID. But that car might be registered to someone else, someone who might help me figure this out. There's no way that all of these random Alicia sightings are coincidence. Someone is doing this on purpose. "There's a car blocking my driveway, and I wanted to see if I could get in touch with the person who owns it before I have it towed." I'm surprised at how smoothly this comes out, almost like I didn't practice it for an hour this morning. "Have you tried leaving a note?" "No, I haven't," I say. "Thank you for the advice." I hang up the phone and stare at the screen. Now what? Aside from Detective Nato, I don't know anyone in law enforcement. I open my desk drawer and pull out his card. As I stare at the phone numbers, an idea starts to form. I pick up the diamond A pendant that's sitting on my desk and fold my hand around it. Alicia would do it. The worst they can do is say no. My hand is shaking as I call the DMV's number again and pray someone else answers this time. I say a silent thank you when a gruff male voice answers the phone. "Hi," I say, pitching my voice higher than normal. "I really hope you can help me. I'm the assistant to Director Jim Nato in San Diego County, and our computer system has totally gone down. He needs me to get some information on a license plate number right away, and until the computers come back up, there's no way I can get it for him." "I'm sorry," he says, exactly like the first woman. "We don't give out that kind of information." "I know," I say as sweetly as I can. "As someone in law enforcement, I would never ask you to break the rules, but I'm in serious trouble here." I give a quiet sniff into the phone and let my voice waver a bit. "I I just got this job, you see, and I've got a baby girl at home to take care of. And my new good husband ran off as a receptionist, so she's all I got. If I can't get this one little thing for the detective in the next 5 minutes, I'm pretty sure he'll fire me. I pause and can tell that he's still listening. I knew you would be able to help me, I say. It's just that I'm so desperate to save my job. Hang on, he says wearily, and the hold music comes on. I let out a deep sigh and relax a tiny bit. He might actually do this. Look, he says, coming back on the phone. They could have my ass for this, but I've been where you are, so I get it. What's the license plate number? I tell him, and he clicks back off the line. I can feel my heart pounding as I hold the phone to my ear and wait through the hold music. Okay, here's what I can do, the guy says. I can't give you an address, but I can get you a phone number. Will that help? That would be great. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this, and so does my daughter, Katie. I wince at that last part. I might be going a little too far with this. He reads off the numbers and I write them down on a scrap piece of paper. You're the best, I say as bubbly as possible. No problem, he says. You stay safe out there. You too. It doesn't take long to do a reverse lookup on the internet to get that answered and more questions. Who does Ava know in Oceanside and why is she using that address? Oh my God! Ava screams just before the front door slams so hard that my window rattles. I stick my head out of my room in time to hear Cecilia yell about not slamming the door. Ava pounds on the wall as she walks down the hallway with Maya right behind her. What's going on? I ask. Asshole! I hear, followed by a sharp bang, and I reach the doorway to her room in time to see her throw the second of a pair of stilettos hard at the wall. What is it? I ask. Cecilia's right behind me, looking concerned. Dylan Harrington, that's what. He cheated on me. Can you believe that? With a junior from Claremont. She's not even that cute. Ava's hair is messy and her face is red as she looks for something else to throw. I knew he was trouble, Maya says from the corner of Ava's bed. Ava whirls on her. You thought he was hot. Hot but trouble, she insists. I glance pointedly at Cecilia, but Ava doesn't take the hint. Cecilia's not supposed to know about Dylan because Ava didn't go out with him. Alicia did. One of his friends posted that he was up in Cardiff with some girl, and sure enough, we went there and they were totally making out under the lifeguard tower number 4. Cecilia shakes her head, a scowl in her eyes. Seriously, Ava, again with the boys. When are you going to learn they're not worth it? I relax a little. I'm sure Cecilia can't keep up with who Ava's seeing. Dylan sure wasn't. The anger seems to seep out of her, and now Ava's eyes are shining with tears. Cecilia visibly softens when she sees that Ava is really upset. You're a smart, beautiful, kind girl. In a few days, this Dylan person will be just a memory. Ava seems to sink into Cecilia's hug. I doubt it, she says, wiping a stray tear off her cheek. I promise, Cecilia says, pulling back and patting her on the cheek. I'm going to start dinner. She gives her hand a squeeze. Don't let the bastards get you down. Ava can't help but laugh at that. Cecilia never swears. Okay, if you say so. I say so. None of us says a word until Cecilia is safely down the hall. Did anyone see you? I ask. Ava shrugs. I don't know. Why does it matter? It doesn't. It was really hideous, Maya says. Dylan didn't even look sorry, almost like he was enjoying the fight. Fight? I watch Ava carefully. What did you do? She turns to me, her hands on her hips. I wished them the best and walked away. What did you think? What do you think I did? I told both of them exactly what I thought. And that's it? Nothing physical? I may have pushed the bitch a couple of times, but she totally deserved it. And more. Okay. I say. Even in the midst of all this anger, it's hard to believe that Ava would do anything else. One minute, I'd never believe she'd do something to Casey, or more realistically, get someone to do it for her. And the next, I'm holding a red leather jacket that puts her at the scene, and we're getting speeding tickets that belong to someone who really lives in Oceanside. What else isn't she telling me? Well, I'm taking care of Dylan right now, Maya says, tapping on her phone. 1 more second, and there. She flips her phone around to us, and I see a photo of Dylan and a girl who's clearly not Ava, clearly making out on the beach. I posted it on my wall and then tagged everyone who knows Alicia. Ava kneels on her bed and puts her arms around Maya. You're the best. I know. So we're still going out tonight, right? Ava asked me, glancing at her closet. I can't believe she really wants to go out there and do it all over again. I'm not going out, I say. Oh, come on. There's only a few days left of spring break, Ava says. Don't let one little incident spoil everything. We were just starting to have some fun. I don't really count getting attacked at a party as a little incident, and I meant it when I said that I was done as Alicia. Now that Dylan's over, you should be too. Do whatever you want, but I'm going. Ava walks to her closet and starts pawing through outfits. This will be a good time to get Dylan out of my system. She holds up a dress that looks more like a tunic. It's so short. What about this for drowning my sorrows? That'll work, Maya says with a grin. Lex, you really need to learn how to live a little. She holds the dress and looks at herself in the reflection of the window. I reach over and quickly pull her curtains closed. It's not totally dark yet, but it's creepy even thinking about somebody sitting out there watching us. Hey, I wasn't done. Use your mirror, I say. The whole world can see you out there. Like anybody even cares, she protests, but turns to the mirror. I told you, those C's don't mean anything. You're being paranoid. Someone out there might be stalking us, I say. I don't consider that paranoid. You guys are like an old married couple. Maya grins and then goes back to tapping on her phone. Hey, when were you at the reggae festival? Ava's busy looking in the mirror over her desk. Never. Why? Because someone named Nancy tagged Alicia in a photo from last week. She hands her phone over to Ava. That's not me, Ava says, handing the phone back. Let me see it, I say. The photo is a picture of Ava holding a beer with the stage in the background. She's standing next to a girl with blonde hair and a guy with dreads. It's taken from pretty far away, but it sure looks like her. Are you sure this isn't you? I'd know if I'd accidentally stumbled into a reggae festival, Ava says. Must be you. Come on, I say. That's not me. I scroll down. There are tons of photos on Alicia's feed that I haven't seen before. Give it, Maya says, her hand out. She zooms in on the first image. Probably photoshopped, she says. Someone got a picture of one of you and cropped the head onto someone else's body. Do you guys know this Nancy person? We both shook our heads. I'm sure it's some kind of joke. Maybe someone found out about Alicia. Maya says. I thought you locked his page, I say to Ava, so that people we actually know won't find it. The last thing we need is to have to explain Alicia's page to people at school. We did, Ava says. I haven't even looked at it in forever. Maya taps on her phone. Uh-oh, she says, using her finger to scroll down. What? I asked, trying to see over her shoulder. You haven't been posting as Alicia, have you? She asked me. No, I told you. I totally forgot about it. Well, someone has. Alicia Rios has been a very busy girl lately. She scrolls down some more. This page must have been hacked. There's a trip to Tijuana, a beach party that looks like it's in Mission Bay somewhere. Ava grabs the phone. Let me see it. She studies the photos on the page. I didn't take this profile shot. Did you? She turns the phone to me and I see a selfie, obviously taken in a bathroom mirror, that shows part of an eye and some hair. No, you can't even see who that is. Shit. Maya taps her phone hard. I can't get into the account anymore. Someone changed the password. That's crazy, Ava says. Give it here. She taps on the phone with an increasingly frustrated look on her face. Call them or something. Tell them someone stole our page. It's not that easy, I say, looking at the phone. I try all of our usual passwords, but none of them will get us in. Maya takes her phone back. You know who can figure this out, don't you? I stand up. No way. I don't want Zane getting involved in this. Ava leans against her desk. Maya's right. Zane could figure out if the pictures were photoshopped. He might even be able to figure out how to get back into Alicia's page. Quicker than the stupid people who run the site anyway. I don't want anyone else involved in this. I already told him that we weren't doing Alicia anymore. Whatever. Maya hands me the phone so that I can see the photos again. If you go through the internet, it might take. Zane could have done it in an hour. I'm outnumbered. They were right. Zane was setting up our wireless system back in elementary school. If anyone can figure this out, he can. But I don't want any of his I told you so attitude. Fine, but I'm not calling him. Maya takes the phone back and continues scrolling. Hey, she looks up at me. When did Casey die? March 30th, sometime around midnight. I know I'll never forget the date. It looked so official in that paperwork Detective Nato had. And you definitely didn't see him that day? Maya starting to sound exactly like a cop. No, why? You're not going to like this, Maya says, handing the phone back to me. I look on Alicia's timeline and see a one-line posting from March 29th at 8:30 p.m., 4 hours before he died. A line that neither Ava nor I put there. Going to see Casey after he gets off work. Wish me luck.